Tree yantra is a very powerful symbol that does affect things. And in my lectures, by the way, I used to have a device known as a ballistic kinesiometer. You know, people are always doing muscle testing, and it's become almost ridiculous. You know, everywhere you go, they're doing these things. You know, did you know me in a past life? Yes, you knew me in a past life. Did you kill me? No, you didn't kill me. Ah, thank God. You know, I mean, so that's, you know, so I had a device called a ballistic kinesiometer, and what it was a strain gauge that you could hold out your arm, and I'd say resist, and I'd push down on it, and it actually gives what's called a ballistic curve of muscle pressure. It goes into a computer. On the computer, I'll get a curve, you know, kind of like this, and it'll say that when I first started pushing and you resisted, it peaked here, and you put out a force of 30 kilograms. Do this over and over and over again, and it gives me an actual scientific reading of your actual muscle strength. No matter how hard I push or whatever, always, no matter what angle, I can get this kind of curve, right? If I put a Sri yantra on your body, it goes way up. I mean, it's amazing. And so I did all these experiments for years on geometric power diagrams, and I ended up inventing a device called a sensor, and some of you probably have one. But basically, I called it a flat pyramid, and it has a Sri yantra on it and some other little things. But when you wear it, it strengthens your body measurably. You can measure its effects with acupuncture measuring equipment, with the ballistic kinesiometer and other things. But yes, the answer to that is Sri yantra is a profound thing. And not only that, in India, one of the things they say is that if you stare at the Sri yantra and just meditate on it, you don't have to have any thought. Just meditate. Just focus on the center. There's a little dot in the center called the bindu, or the center of creation. And when you stare at the center of the Sri yantra and just stare at it, they say that if you stare at the Sri yantra long enough, you will know all the secrets of the universe. And he said that there was a very famous movie producer in Hollywood that had this giant mansion in Bel Air, and he had a whole wall which was a Sri yantra. He had one of those director chairs that you could you know, move up and down, and he'd go in there every day and position himself in the center of that Sri yantra and meditate on it. My whole life has been spent, that's another side of my life, you know, is passion of geometric, you know, like dodecahedrons and icosahedrons and interlinking of these things, and building, you know, geometric power structures, two-dimensional, three-dimensional, the effects of buildings. When I wrote Pyramid Power, the whole thing, it's very interesting. I used to show you how profound things are. This room has length, width, and height, okay? And as I speak, my voice is bouncing off of each of the walls, right? And so at a subconscious subliminal level, this room is producing a three-note sound chord. In other words, when my voice reflects this way, it's reflecting at it's amplifying certain frequencies of my voice, you know, F1, okay? And then when it's reflecting off the side, it's giving another frequency, F2, and up and down it's giving an F3. And basically what this means is that I've got a three-note chord, right? A three-note musical chord is being formed by this room from my voice. And also, if I were just sitting in this room in silence, just the ambient noise, just the air molecules are generating this three-note chord. Now, in the movie industry, interesting enough, they're aware of this but didn't know how to really define it. But in the movie industry, they record silence on the set. Room tone, okay, room tone. When we walk into a room, we might walk in and say, I don't like it in here. It doesn't feel good. And walk out. And the reason why is that that room may be creating a three-note discord. You know, like say if you hit three musical notes that are wrong for each other, certain sounds can upset us, even if we hear them subliminally. So you can walk into a silent room, and no room is ever really silent, but we're hearing the room tone. What I did in one of my seminars is I had a pyramid, a cube, and I had different shaped boxes on the table, and a little loudspeaker that generated white noise. And what I do, and it's most profound, I'd love to demonstrate this again, but what happened is that if I put the pyramid over the box, you'd hear it go, take the pyramid off, and it goes, you hear the room again, right? And then I put the cubical box on, it goes, you know, and each one was different. You can actually hear the sounds of each shape. And then what I did is I took the ballistic kinesiometer and tested people's strength, and I would put the pyramid on, and their strength would go up. I'd put the cube on, their strength would go down, and I put another room on it, it would go up. And so I could control their strength depending on the geometric ratios of the rooms themselves. Architects today don't even think about it. Well, we got this much lumber, and we got that many, 4x8 sheets, so I guess we could make a room this big by this, by this big, and they don't even think, they don't even know what it does to the energy of the body. Only a few architects throughout history have known. Le Corbusier from France, Frank Lloyd Wright was very aware that the dimensions of rooms and temples throughout Egypt and Greece were all based on sacred math.